What's up, Paragon Community? How are you doing? I'm Nathan Mooney, Community Coordinator here on stream today. And joining me, Kale Smith,
Hey
my
guys.
Community Manager. Did
Hey,
a little seat swap
we did a
here.
swap, yeah. I'll be on vacation for the next Hero
Yeah.
release, wink wink,
Yeah.
on vacation.
Yeah.
And so Mooney's going to run this one.
That's the party stream, for reference.
Right.
We also got Billy Rivers
How you
and
doing?
Skylar Lastagaida on stream
Friends?
today. So to start it off, we'll be talking about some Hero Race updates. So we had Narbash. And in the top 3 positions, we got Miso Sneaky, XX the Patriot, who I believe either won the last one or was like top 3 on the last one as well.
I think so.
His dethroned the Be Certified, I think something like that happened.
Yeah.
I remember something like
that's
that
hype.
happening.
Yeah.
And then Fragdu. Also, we need to talk about, we were actually at PAX. If you guys were at PAX
Yeah.
West, you might have caught us out there. Not us, but the other awesome community
We had to
folks.
work while the other people, worked the event. So we had Raxzilla was out there. So you guys might have saw him. We had In Us We Trust.
Yep.
Ed, he was
yeah.
out there as well.
So we had like
Wes.
it was a good group, and we had a pretty solid. We had 150 people show up to the meetup at
for
GameWorks.
Yeah, I think we had about 150 people show up there.
That's awesome.
We gave out like 5,000 bags, like
Nice.
huge bags of swag. In fact, let me show you something.
Ooh,
We had
Hype.
some cards that we gave out that I want to show you guys. Back up a little bit.
nice. There it is. There it is. Let the jealousy course through. you.
So yeah, if you showed up, you
Yeah,
got
no,
to see a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and
Swag.
I think definitely
Swag.
it was awesome to be out there. Yes.
Swag.
One more time.
We also have we have the V31 1 build dropping tomorrow. So what's awesome is the notes should be up shortly here if they're not up already. So you'll be able to check those up. And coming in that we have emotes. So get hype about that. Like you've shown up your personality in game. That's something I'm always excited about. I know. It's the feeling of backing in front of your
Right.
opponent. That's really the.
We have an emotes video too.
Yeah, I think that we can. Do you want to go ahead and we can roll that emotes video and we can check that out? Should be awesome.
I like how Murdoch
Oh,
at
the
the end was like,
the Murdoch
I don't know if you actually like these emotes or not, but we're going with it anyway.
The Twin Blast one is like that's like my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Like that's
Stick 'em
me.
up.
Yeah, the A. Yeah, so we have a lot of those emotes coming in. So that'll be those will be in for tomorrow. They'll be in the in-game
Yeah.
storage. You can pick some of those up. Hula Hoop Gideon looking like a spicy one.
Yes, I've already seen several folks, kind of like as soon as the tweet went out with
Mhm.
the emotes, I saw people commenting on the Gideon one
Nice.
right away.
Yeah.
We actually showed the emotes, Jay, who, is he on the last stream? Jay was on the last
I
stream,
think
right?
so. I think it was.
So Jay Hosfeld is our lead animator on the project, and when he showed us the emotes, he did it at the open beta event,
Yes.
and so it was a lot of the folks, including people inside the building, a community team. I think some of the dev team that were there. First time seeing the
Yeah.
Gideon hula hoop emote, and
Awesome.
everybody lost it. It was just it was
Oh.
awesome. So I hope a lot of people are really excited about that.
It's honestly probably one of my favorites. Top 3 at least.
That's mine. That's definitely mine. It's all about the hula hoop.
All about the hula
Oh
hoop.
yeah. Oh.
So we have the community vote. If you your votes ended at 9 p.m. yesterday, so that's for the V32 series. So for the card pack for this week, we're going to have Splinter Bark Vest, which is a unique active. It's one of the recent ones that actually got changed from the pen to the shred. So for 6 seconds on hit with basic attack, shred 22 physical armor from targets for 4 seconds. And consecutive hits shred an additional 22 physical armor and refresh the cooldown. Bounty Stalker, which on basic attack on players gives you crit chance for 3 seconds, and that'll stack up to 10 times. And then Stinger Boost, which when you're carrying blue buff, you'll get plus 16.5 attack speed. So
And that's in this week's
yes,
31.1.
31.1.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be awesome. I know a lot of people were asking about Splinter Bark. I believe that's the community pick for this pack.
It is.
So that's
It is.
that's awesome. And then Also in the build, of course, is Lieutenant Belica.
Who we're here to talk about.
Yes,
today. Yeah.
awesome. If you
very
guys have
exciting.
not seen her announce video, she is an amazing one, and I think we can roll right into that.
They always try to run. They always try to hide. But they'll never escape from me. They'll never escape from justice.
You shouldn't have come here, Lieutenant.
You know what cracks me up about the end of that is, so I do a lot of looking at our analytics for community stuff, and so for this video in particular, that moment at the end when Murdoch comes back on, you see this huge spike in people coming back to that moment,
Yeah.
going, "Oh my God!" Right? Like, so
That's awesome.
you know,
Super exciting.
when I saw it for the first time, I had that exact same
Right.
kind of reaction, like, "Oh, Murdoch is in the video!"
Yeah.
So, one thing I wanted to mention is that you'll start to see more of the lore come out in our announced videos. And this is one of the first ones where people got to see a lot of it. There's actually more lore to that video than I think people realize. So if someone can start, cooking up
Yeah, I mean,
theories,
I
I
mean,
mean, it
yeah,
opens with
a lot of
something
doors
that-
open, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out
I
there.
mean, there are doors
I
there
try
that
to
you
drop
could
the lore
potentially
hints.
open. Yeah.
with each.
You can only do so much, Kale.
I mean, there's 2 space cops. They have to be chasing someone
and I
or
mean, there's-
something.
to some to
I mean-
some extent.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I think honestly, my favorite part of the video, I really like the text, like at the end, like
Oh,
the,
yeah.
I love the style of
Yeah.
text because that's like the subtle thing I think going from our different hero videos is like the difference, actual styles of the video completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Is like seeing the text at the end is super interesting. Also, it's like the movie credit thing where you like tell your friends to stay afterwards for the after credit like clip or the
Yep.
like scene. So it's the same thing as like telling them just like, oh, check out the video. There's some lore stuff at the end.
Yeah.
So starting off here, we're going to be talking about gameplay and design. Of course, we have Billy Rivers here, designer, and then Skylar, who is on our comp QA team. So, just talking off the bat, so we can run through her abilities. Her basic attack is Burst Fire. Her secondary ability, Void Bomb, which is the right mouse button on the PC. Seismic Assault, primary ability. The Void Drone, which you may have noticed from the video. And then the Neural Disruptor, which is that her ultimate. So, and affinity-wise, she is Order and Intellect. So to kind of start the conversation off, what were some of the main design goals you kind of started with, Lieutenant Belica?
So for Belica, we really had in mind that we wanted like a powerful burst caster. That was one of the main design goals, and along with that, we also wanted a strong zone control character. So she's able to kind of combine those things and to keep people at bay. We also gave her some nice peel tools so she can, kind of split into a support role if needed and kind of perform double duty there, which is pretty nice.
Right.
But yeah, she's basically the intent was she would be able to keep people off key targets, even if that was herself, if necessary, but that she'd be able to supply some burst damage on necessary targets.
Did you always see like Mana playing like a role in her kit? Like
We kind of bounced back and forth on some ideas, but when we went with the Mana as the resource to her doing more damage, it just felt like a good click. So,
right.
yeah, we had some back and forth conversations.
We had
on
we had
some of that
many
stuff.
iterations, and I think
Yeah.
like we landed on a really good spot for like how she ended up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you maybe guys, and maybe this is more of a question for Skylar, like where do you like when you're playing Belica and like running through like all of the iterative processes, like where do you see her fitting in like a team composition, like maybe how you play her, how some of the other people play her?
So in my opinion, like one of her core strengths is that she's very versatile. Is that she can fit into many different team comps. She can provide many different things that a team needs, and I think that's where a lot of her strength comes from. Like what Billy said previously, Belica is like very strong in peeling people off like high priority targets, but at the same time, she can use it aggressively to move up and assist in a wombo or assist in like a gank, and she has many opportunities to use like the skill, and I think that like that's what makes her very effective.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Did you? So at the beginning of the game, right? Would you play her more of a mid lane, or when you would support, were you more supporting your carry? How were you kind of approaching it from game to game, or did it just depend on the composition?
She can do a little bit of flex, and she can go a couple places. She can go in the middle lane or the upper lane, but definitely I see her strength as a priority person that you want to give farm to, and one that like survives and like thrives in the solo lane. And yeah.
Who did you find yourself kind of trying to target the most with with her mana abilities, mana draining abilities?
Right, so the way her ultimate ability works, Neural Disruptor, based on, she gains additional damage based on how much mana your opponent is missing that you're targeting. So if she's like she plays very well versus casters and versus people who really want to prioritize mana, because you can punish people for overextending and like using excessive amounts of their mana pool, and like if you can single out that target and manage to target them in team fights, like you can do massive damage, and you can really like blow people up for that.
There was a kind of an element that we wanted to build in, was that she could really punish over-aggression from the enemy team.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the enemy team is pushing too hard, she will have the tools to deal with that.
Right.
Have you ever had like that moment after a large team fight where you just like rolled up on somebody with low mana and you just hit them in the face?
Oh yeah, like that's just coming up, like just trap moting up and pop, dead. It's very satisfying. Also, great gameplay moment. Just if Gideon blinks in and he's like, he's getting like a great channel off, but like he doesn't have any mana, and like you can get a huge pop off, like stop him right there.
Yeah.
Right.
And like feels very satisfying.
Yeah.
So like starting at the beginning, like what was kind of the design inspiration or like the goal behind like making Belica the character she is like identity-wise with Kit? Like, did you start with a Kit? Is it one of those situations where you like saw a concept art and you were like, oh, that's like a cool concept for a hero like this, or was it something where you had an idea for specifically that?
This was actually more a case of like an inspired character that I think we were kind of missing to some extent. Was I really wanted like a strong tactical female role.
Right.
So we decided to kind of make her Lieutenant Belica this strong commander of this military whatever, and so she ended up being Lieutenant Belica at the end. And we got some lore in there with some Murdoch stuff, and it was pretty nice. But we basically wanted her to be that strong female role. Was our main goal, and then slowly the kit built around it and some visuals and stuff came out of that. So I also wanted to kind of emphasize the role of like, what would a mage look like in this world of Agora, where you're using technology as much as you are magic and that kind of stuff. So we really emphasized the tech aspect of her with her bombs and her guns and her gadgets and stuff.
Do you like when like playing through the game as like Belica, do you find like you're itemizing certain stats over other stats, or is it like kind of where you fall into the line of whatever role that you're trying to perform in that game? Do you itemize those specifically, or do you find that it's pretty diverse?
There's definitely a lot of room to experiment, and I think that's a great thing for any characters, that you just like have a lot of room, like a lot of build paths, a lot of things you can buy that can like benefit your team at different times. She definitely has some core stats. She is a mage. She works well with damage, mana, cooldown, a little attack speed, and yeah, I think that like there's no like set path by any means, but like I've had success on many different builds.
Right.
Playing her, utility for damage, for zone control, for cooldown. So
The strength might come from a little bit of her diversity to be able to play that way.
I'm sorry, in the video I'm watching the gameplay, that Chimera got blown up. He jumped at her. And she blew him up out of the air. That was awesome.
Mistakes were made.
So, one of the questions I have is, for the design of her kit, what was like the most challenging ability that you guys were kind of iterating back and forth on?
It'd probably be her drone, I would say.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth about its power potential. What should its role be? We always wanted it to be a zone control tool, but how would that look like at the end of the game? And so, like it has a soft mana drain component, but we experimented with a really heavy mana drain component, or the mana burst component, and some different things like that. And just watching how it played. In fact, I actually had an iteration where it instantly stunned people instead. So
yeah, I don't know
that
about
didn't
one.
even make it into testing because that was a little bit brutal. But yeah, so we try a lot of things offline and really iterate on things and try to get the best feel for it. And so it took a lot of back and forth to get into a good spot. And I'm really liking how she's playing now with that specific ability and some other things too. So not that we won't massage things in the future, but it's
Right.
in a really good spot. So
It's good.
yeah.
And then the other question I had is about the affinities. So, again, she is order and intellect for those watching. Was there any back and forth on that, or did you just know kind of right away?
There was a little bit of conversation. I mean, nice. Basically, we just try to keep things, open throughout the process. Like, what else could she kind of fall into? But we try to base it on what her intended role is and what kind of suits her best, rather than we don't necessarily look at the current cards, for instance. We don't say that makes her affinity. What exists already, because we know that we're going to be making lots of cool stuff in the future, and we don't want to kind of pigeonhole characters into that. So we definitely kind of go back and forth. And what is this person's identity supposed to be?
Right.
And that's where we came up with her current color affinities. But
As her identity changed, like we went through many different iterations and experimentation, and like there were definitely like options for sure. Like there were definitely some possibilities that could have been, but like where we landed, we think that like blue white is definitely the place to be.
Yeah.
Like she could have fit into other potential combinations, but this
Yeah.
one felt the most right for the way the kit was moving and the heroes moving. in
As
general.
it continued to change, like we changed the affinities accordingly.
This is a question for you, Skylar. What's your favorite team comp with her? Like, what's your dream team comp?
Yeah, dream team comp.
So I gotta say, I love wombo combo stuff, and she definitely has a place here. Her stun or seismic assault is AoE, so you can combo it with Faye ult, Steel ult, Gideon ult, Decker ult. You can go the whole 9 yards if you want to, and it is just extremely satisfying to play her like that. Also, hit comps are just like super fun.
Okay.
Chimera jumps on someone, keeps them down, and you run up and blow your combo on them, and they're dead, and it's just like, well, 5v4 now. Let's go. Let's go win the game.
Okay.
I think that's why she's interesting as a flex pick, because you really can use her to adjust to the roles as needed, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think we're going to probably transition to like talking about concept art. We're going to have Zach Foreman up on stream next, so I appreciate you guys coming on to talk to us about Belica. Learn some awesome stuff. I'm super excited to play her. Like,
She's a lot of fun.
honestly,
Yeah.
very excited.
She's a lot of fun.
So thanks for coming on, guys. Pleasure having
Absolutely.
you. And I think we're going to transition over to art now.
Sweet.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Hello, Foreman.
We're the
Yeah,
man,
you're
the myth,
fine.
the legend.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend, back again.
There we go.
Was the last stream you were on? I think was the first one.
Yeah, the very first one,
Yeah.
Severog, so it's been a while.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
The man, the myth, the legend.
He's back.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Nothing much. Just,
Just hanging out.
getting murdered by people out in Agora.
So I think we had some concept art we wanted to like talk through with you.
Yeah.
Some I think mid through the process, I think you were talking about how like you had gotten Belica like a little bit through the
Yeah,
process. You want
yeah.
to talk through that?
Yeah, the way sometimes it works is it's not always like the same person on the concept for the entire process. Like sometimes it is like Severog, it started and finished. But then other times like we're all super busy, and I think for Belica, she started with an outsourced studio, and then eventually she came back in house. And at that point, her kit was a little more established, so we knew she had a lot of like other utility things we needed for her, like her guns and her bot and her bomb. So I knew I had to do those, and then they kind of had me work over the model do a paint over of the model of where it was at, and then kind of tie all that together. So that's kind of what I did.
That's pretty cool. So
There's like different guns there too. That's pretty cool.
so this one, based on this kind of explanation, her kit kind of influenced more of the artwork after you
Yeah.
got more established kit. It was like,
Yes,
okay, well,
definitely.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool.
When I got her, it was a lot later in the process, so the kit was way fleshed out, and we
Right.
knew exactly what each thing did. And at that point, it was my job just to kind of
Like how do you
concept each
envision
one of
this,
those.
right?
Yeah.
So we knew she had an Uzi, we knew she had a pistol, a bot, and a bomb.
Okay.
So, but yeah, when I got her, I think the model, they'd already modeled out the outsource concept to a really finished point already. It was really honestly about, I would say 60% there, but none of the weapons or anything were there at all. So then the two front and back you see there, that was actually me just painting over the model to kind of tie it in with everything else and kind of push it that extra 40%
Right.
to make it all cohesive and consistent. And then, yeah, the guns on the left, that's something that we do a lot, is show a lot of versions of something and like
Right.
a thumbnail stage, and then our art director will pick the ones he wants and then take it from there.
That's cool.
And then yeah, I think I have more sketches of the bombs and the bomb and drone. Yeah, so this was for the bomb. And yeah, at the bottom it kind of shows it, just an idea of it kind of phasing in, like really, futuristic, kind
Yeah.
of beaming in. But yeah, that was just an initial concept for that. And then on the right was maybe like some effect stuff for to help those guys kind of try to figure it out.
Is that like a visualized top-down
Yeah,
look
yeah.
on it? Okay.
It's like kind of like this is how the bomb envisions like
Yeah, like
going
when
through the
it's
process. Yeah.
when it's activating. But
Yeah.
I think we ended up going with something different than that because it was a little too noisy, and with all the AOE stuff already
Yeah,
going on in
right.
the game, it's just was a little too much. And then I think you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so these were initial drone sketches when we were trying to figure out a direction for what the drone should look like. And then we ended up going with number A, but the other three were just different options.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
cool to see, I think, the other options as well, because we had this, we like kind of talked through this with Herman a little bit back on the Iggy stream, I think. He showed us like 4 very different like
Versions of it.
ideas of like
Yeah.
what Iggy could be, and then like the one we they ended up going with was like after like a couple of iterations. So it was like we picked this one, but like we want to refine it a little bit more, and I like think that's like cool to like have that in the process, that potentially this idea out of left field is something that we would not have expected to be good, but it like fits perfectly.
Yeah.
So a question, I always think of these art questions on the fly. We have this script that we kind of prepared beforehand, but one of the things that's really fascinating about Belica is that she has a lot of gadgets. And so more so than I think than any of the heroes previously, she has a lot of artistic, I guess, freedom, right, for you to explore. Would you say that from a kit standpoint that this is more or less challenging for you to kind of work from start to finish because you have to flesh out each of the individual pieces of the kit?
Yeah, it was pretty challenging, mainly because like she was kind of nailed down. So we already knew she was going to be, this very strong female role, super tactical, and then so that was kind of like locked. But then all the other things, like I usually kind of like to go super crazy and weird with stuff.
Right.
So trying to keep that stuff less crazy and weird to kind of fit in with the rest of her design was probably the most challenging part for me. But yeah, and then this is the page that after we picked the sketch of the one, then I usually do a full page so that the modelers can work off it and give them
Poster. Poster.
front,
Oh yeah,
back, sides, and whatnot.
Poster. Just throwing that poster out there.
yeah.
I think they're all red because I think when I initially got it, I think it was the affinity was still might have been in flux or something.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
told
yeah.
me she's gonna be all red, so then that's why these are all red and now
Okay.
she's blue.
No, she's blue.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that was when I had her. I think it was still in flux.
Okay.
That's cool to kind of see like the similar like pieces though. Like so on the bomb you kind of have those like little like knobs on the outside of the bomb like before it releases, and on this too you kind of have that similar style like on the inside of the drone, and then like the outside like you have the circles as well. Like haven't seen the consistent. Is that something you guys try to do often? Is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of have the
definitely.
consistency.
Definitely. I definitely wanted both the bomb and the drone to feel from the same world.
Right.
Same, like the same manufacturer made both of them. And then also even from just a efficiency standpoint, like the modeler with this character in particular, Colby Jukes, who did an amazing job on this. He absolutely killed it. It's awesome working with him. I mean, those like guns, I could give him like a little thumbnail and didn't even have to like flush it out, and then he just like models his
Wow.
amazing
It's
guns.
like, oh, I have this. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. But from a efficiency standpoint, like he had so much to do on this character. It was also a smart idea to keep similar shapes on both the drone and the bomb, so that he could reuse a lot of the parts as he's making them.
Yeah, I think the most interesting idea in the process is that like you kind of, it feels like during the process of like going art, modeling, like animation effects, like you kind of are all giving each other cues as to like what maybe the initial idea was, or somebody had an idea of this along the way, maybe we want to implement this at some point, but like giving the options. Is there some part of the process where you guys kind of all sit down and be like, hey, this is like the overarching idea for the hero, like this is the design, this is the kit, but you know, with each other on the process? Is it pretty much just like art goes to art, all meets together, and then like all of the animation folks meet together, FXC, or is it like there's their group coming together to talk about it?
It's kind of fluid, and we do have like meetings where everybody will get together and kind of like with design and art and kind of see where it's at and where it's going, so that everybody can be on the same page. But then there's also a lot of just back and forth between each artist. Like, you know, if I'm working on like trying to help with some effects on this, then I'll pass it off to them, and you know, they can tell me if they hate it or if it's too noisy or whatever.
Right.
And then we can take it from there. And then with the modeling, it's like back and forth with me and Colby. So yeah, there's definitely like one-on-one interactions, but then there's the big like group where we all kind of talk and make sure everything's headed in the right direction too.
Yeah.
Nice, that's cool. Yeah, I'm honestly like I'm really excited because like it would, seeing it in the process, like from like early stages and then just boom, seeing the final version like that. I've had that shell shock experience like 4 times in a row now. Like I see the final version and I'm like,
it's fun. It's especially like that. My favorite part is probably like watching, because when I pass it off, everything's still, and like I'll see the model a little bit, and then suddenly like one day I'll go into a play test and
then
like,
everything's
there's all
emotion.
these crazy effects on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. Like it's just really cool seeing like the full polish like come onto these guys. It's really impressive, especially with the animations too. It's
definitely.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think honestly for me, like, so do you have any, I know that like we do a lot of these streams, and I think some of the people are like that come into the streams maybe are trying to like learn about this sort of stuff, like doing that art. Is there any like processes you employ that you kind of learned early on for doing concepting like on Heroes? Because you kind of spoke about how it was some of the way done, so you had to do some like improvements if you had to, but like, and just work on the guns mainly. Is there anything like
like paint overs? I think paint overs is something we all as concept artists have to do all the time. It's like you'll pass off a concept, and then you know, maybe the modelers are still having a question about one area or something, and you'll get screenshots of just a gray model, and they're like, hey, what does this part look like? It's not very clear in the concept, can you help? And then you have to, you paint directly on top of that model, and that's like a huge part of the job right there. So I guess if you're wanting to do concept art or whatever, you should definitely practice painting over models. Even like you could just go online, go to ArtStation, there's thousands of gray models, you can just paint right on top of them.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of the job, and would be pretty valuable to learn.
cool.
It's awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming on to talk about all of the concept art. I think it's always really interesting to kind of get an in-depth look into the humble beginnings
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
of
get
our lieutenant.
I'm gonna have to get one of those files and make a poster.
I'm gonna have to happen across one
yeah.
of those files.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
I
you.
don't know where to find them.
Thank you for coming on, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
Zach.
guys.
It's good to have you on as always. Yeah. All right. So
So-
next we are gonna be moving on to animation and effects. So we have Scott Robidoux. I'm sorry, Scott. You can tell me how to pronounce your last name when you come on stream. And then Nick Reed. So we're going to have them next. Thanks for coming, Zach. And,
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. We are back. We are here with Nick and Scott. I butchered Scott's last name. He has now remedied that. Uh,
Robidoux.
yes, Robidoux. Yes, got it. Okay, so now we're going to be moving into animation and FX. And one thing that's cool is like this is the process where I feel like for me it gets like I see it, then I'm like, okay, I see now I see what we're working with. That's like kind of the reaction I have. And kind of asking the process here, and either of you can answer. We can bounce back and forth, but like, how do like when you guys get the design of the hero, like you see the abilities and like what specifically she's geared towards doing in this case, Lieutenant Belica. How much does that shape like where you move with animation and FX? Like at what point do you take over? Kind of like start working with it, Nick. If you want to start with maybe FX stuff.
Yeah, we get it at a point where it's hooked up with some proto work usually,
Right.
or like our associate artist does that. And I just start blocking stuff in and trying to get something in there for gameplay.
Right.
Because people that are testing it need to see something in there. If you ever do a play test and there's no effects work at all in there, you don't know what's happening
Right.
at all. So
You're just like, I just got stunned by something, but I don't know what that is.
invisible things are flying around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first step is just getting something in there, and then there'll be work as far as shape language and color language and stuff like that. Like, is she pure sci-fi? Is she plasma? Does she shoot real bullets? Does she shoot plasma blobs or something?
Right. Do the
So we start with
designers kind of give you guys that set of descriptions on what the kit is? It's like for example, the plasma. It's a burst shot. It's a beam
It's
laser.
like a bomb on the ground that'll like go explode in a couple of seconds. Or
They kind of
something, yeah.
provide the general outline for that, or is it?
Yeah, it differs.
Okay.
Designers don't typically care if it's a ballistic bullet or a plasma shot.
Okay.
As long as the gameplay implications are the same. So there can be a lot of freedom for us.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
That's good to hear. And then like same question, I guess, for like from the animation standpoint, Scott.
Yeah, we'll go and see, in the animation department, we'll go and talk to the designer and kind of see where the characters, what they have in mind. And one of the things that's interesting with her was she was originally designed to cast all of her abilities from this heads-up display on her forearm. But that was a problem because all of her abilities telegraphed the same way, so they were indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You
we
wouldn't know
try
what's
to
coming.
make a visual distinction on every action we do. So we kind of set about like brainstorming ideas about how to create different targeting modes for each ability to separate them. And we didn't scrap the HUD idea altogether. We used it for the emote, so that was kind of cool.
Right. Awesome. And I think you actually we have some animation videos we can kind of look through, and you guys can talk over about like the iterative process of kind of working through stuff.
Sure. I thought possibly it would be interesting to show. Oh, this is the actually effect stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is Nick's FX
Yeah.
stuff. All right, Nick, if you want to talk through some of the
Yeah. So this was basically day one, starting with the bomb ability. You can see it's still a proto mesh. Like, the animations are all wonky. Everything about this. Like, this is the starting point for where I would ever see anything. So the first step was just you can even see the bomb is just like a basic shape. It's not even the actual bomb yet.
right.
So this was basically day one, like just get this shockwave in there so anyone playtesting it could see, okay, a bomb went off.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. Those are prototype animations. That's the early model that we started with. So yeah, she looked pretty wonky right there.
For body types, I can't remember because there's so different iterations. But is there always like the same body type for the heroes as they come out of the prototyping phase for you guys to kind of work with for animation?
I'm not sure. That might be a modeling question.
Okay.
More so. I think they try to make it seems like they try to make the prototype models close to what the final's going to be.
Okay. I guess
lower polygon. What are you saying?
the way to reword that is like if there was a certain set, are the animations already set for that specific model?
Yeah, these are like borrowed animations basically for the design team.
Okay.
To sort of throw on. They have different flavors of prototype animations. I think they can use if it's a melee character versus a ranged character.
Right.
And this just gets the designers started really fast. They can start building the kit and seeing an early version of
Like
it.
testing it out and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And then for the effects side of this, I noticed at the end we saw the bottom portion of that start to really show. through.
We kind of
Yeah.
saw a little bit of that in the concept as well.
Right.
This part's interesting. I included this video because it's using part of the concept that Zach created. I
Yeah.
think you guys just saw
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
So we created those hologram elements that kind of float around, trying to really clearly communicate the timing on when this thing was going to explode,
Ooh,
which
yeah.
it does, but
Cool.
you also have all these things floating around there. And previously in the game, if there was something like that in the world, it meant something to touch it, like Muriel's boots or
Oh, right.
Decker's walls or something, and these have no purpose whatsoever except to show the timing. So, and it was also a lot going on. So we ended up removing those in favor of showing all the timing for the explosion just through the bomb itself. Like there's lights that light up on the sides in
Right, okay,
sequence.
cool.
It starts to spin, the effects get bigger, and you have the timing decal, which is consistent through all of our abilities in the game.
Yeah, the
So-
spinning to me was super interesting because I think the first time I'd seen the bomb, that was like the perfect reason why I knew. I was like, oh, that's probably not good that that's spinning rapidly and glowing.
Yeah, yeah. So we tried to bring all of that timing information to that center point.
Right.
So it's all right there. You can still tell when it's going to explode, but you don't have all these things floating in the world.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that Tim talked about was almost with each of the heroes, there's like some new element of tech, right? So, you know, he talked about Richter with the chain, and then using some of that initial tech for the Fae on her ult. How much new tech, is it always different for every single hero, or are you taking just a little bit here or a little bit there and then combining it, or is it almost like you guys are back at square one for each hero?
You know, with her stuff, I don't think there were any huge tech hurdles in the same way
Okay.
of Richter's chains or anything like that. There was just a lot with her because, you know, you could conceivably have an ability for a hero where you hit it and now I'm doing more damage and you've got glowing around the arms or something.
Right, right.
But take her drone, for instance. You have all this effects work because the drone spawns in, it lands, there's dust that gets kicked up. The drone has engine exhaust that's always going on. You need effects for it targeting and shooting and impacts for that. There's like 10 effects in that one ability.
Right.
So that's way more work than
Yeah,
you
yeah,
usually
yeah.
have
Okay.
for any given ability.
Totally get it.
Very
Totally get it.
driven character.
Yeah.
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 So a lot
Okay.
of her stuff was
That's-
like
that's-
that.
that's really
She
cool.
was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I mean, and from the same standpoint, was there any like hurdles you had like when running through the animation for Belica?
Yeah, I think like we kind of refined some tech that was from Twin Blast. Basically, his alt is when he's standing in place, he has to sort of turn and there's a system in place for that turning animation. It's its own little set. Laurent, our gameplay programmer, built a system for her right mouse button.
Right.
It's when she casts the bomb, she sends a laser out from the gun, and so her gun has to be locked on to the reticle.
Okay.
So he created a really clever aim constraint for that system, and we did a turn-in-place animation that ramps in speed.
Nice.
He did an excellent job building that, and that's something we're probably going to carry forward because we've been seeing that system come up in
Right.
in characters.
So
along
kind
the
of
way,
doing
so
that thing where like we see something that works very
Mhm.
well or works alongside the
continue to
hero. so we-
refine it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think one thing I'm always interested in is like how and how closely I think is I kind of wanted to ask this to Jay and Tim, but I think we had gone over or something. But like going back and forth, and I kind of asked Zach that question between FX and animation. Is there a lot of back and forth like through the process while you guys are working through it? Like, if you could speak more specifically as to the process, I think to me like understanding like does it go concept modeling, animation, FX? Like, is there a kind of and a period where you all kind of come together and like talk about it, or is it just like pretty cut and dry when it drops off to the next person?
Yeah, there's usually quite a bit of talk between us.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so on her because we had to figure out how she was going to do all these abilities. Because the first iteration was, oh, she's doing it all through this
All through
arm
the-
pad
right.
and stuff.
Mhm.
And you couldn't tell that the silhouette was different from ability to ability. There was a lot that you weren't really getting from that. So we had to come up with these ideas. I think we had several meetings and
Yeah.
went through several iterations of what is she actually doing here to spawn these abilities. And that's how we landed on. I mean, and some of this was only coming in right at the end, I think.
Yeah,
Like
they-
she takes the rifle and paints the
Mhm,
target
paints the
to
target.
beam in the bomb.
Yeah, we had
some of that stuff.
several
Yeah.
brainstorming sessions, and those are fun because those are ideas coming from everybody.
Right.
Right.
Design throwing out ideas, and I think all of her ideas for her abilities came out of those sessions.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was a pretty, if you want to say what went well on her, that I think those, once we had those ideas, they stayed pretty firm.
That's good.
Her Q ability, I think, changed. She was like throwing out, that's the seismic ability that,
Right.
that lanes out.
Yeah,
in
I
front of her.
remember
Yeah,
there was a couple
that was-
iterations of that.
Yeah,
in playtest.
she threw out like these
Right.
bombs that were like jacks almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was brought up at one point. Her first iteration of that was more of an orbital bombardment that came down the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's an example, I guess, of gameplay sort of dictating what we can and can't do because it needed to be a knock-up for gameplay reasons. So it didn't make as much sense for things to come flying down,
down.
and then people get thrown
Right,
up
right,
from
right.
that.
Right.
So then
And
we had to.
this one, it was cool seeing it in the in like even here, like seeing the how like when she did the seismic assault there, you can kind of see the like the sword she kind of hits into the ground, sticks there for a little bit. Was that was like getting that sword to like go down and like knock everything up? Was that a part of the process? Like, did you arrive on that? I thought that was super interesting to me when I saw that in the video, the Belica announced video. Like that was super cool to me. Like seeing that sword. Was that a specific thing? Like somebody was like, oh, I think that would be awesome.
That was kind of what we arrived at as far as how does this tech soldier create a seismic attack? Well, she manifests some kind of seismic or sonic spike thing that she sticks into the ground. Yeah.
It
Cool.
initiates it.
Yeah,
What
that's
an
really
interesting
cool.
question to have to answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
What question you answer at work today? How tech soldier is gonna create a seismic assault? You know,
Yeah.
standard
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Scott, did you have animation videos?
Yeah, I just threw together some takes that we captured from her motion capture set.
Oh, I don't know if we have the.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
We
if
don't
have the
we don't have them
animation
today.
Okay, that's okay.
That's fine.
If you want to talk through some, like if you see some of the stuff in the like the gameplay video we have going on here, if you want to talk through some of the stuff specifically you had to work on with animation when it comes to Belica. If you
Trying
can
to
think of
think.
anything specifically like in the
Yeah.
process, so like when you first get Belica, do you get it in the process after like the modeler's done some work, or are you working from the same like proto version that Nick and FX is working from?
Yeah, she's sort of like we gather the motion capture data. We have to cast. We have to find the actress we need
Okay.
to do it, and we hired an actress who had a military background, and that was really
Oh,
helpful.
that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's extremely helpful. She was comfortable holding a weapon. She had the mindset that we needed.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome.
Yeah.
So we gather up all the motion capture we need, and then we start editing it to fit into the gameplay. So her runs, everything you're seeing is sort of captured from this actress, and then fitted into the system. And everything has to be sped up, obviously.
Right.
Everything looks really slow coming out of motion capture. And
Right.
So we do a lot of work to try to make it punchy and impactful. So when you play that ability, it's satisfying.
Like
it
you
goes
use those
off.
animations
Yeah.
in games. Like I use the seismic assault when the person gets knocked up.
Yeah,
I
you
get the
want-
necessary feedback.
You want to feel that punch or that hit
Right.
when you're delivering the blow. So that's the stuff that we try to bring to it.
And is that something like we try to do consistently with like heroes, like find as accurate a like for the motion capture as we can to match the hero?
Absolutely, yeah. Try to encourage the actors to be as heroic as they can.
Right, right.
You can't really overact on the stage because it comes through well into the game. The more sort of overacting you get.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we haven't talked too much about mocap in general.
Yeah.
And that's in Gregson, if I'm not mistaken, is where the mocap
That's right.
studio
yeah.
is.
Yep.
Can you talk at all, even a little bit more, even about kind of that process from start to finish of like, all right, you guys cast someone, they come in, imagine they put on the suit.
uh-huh.
Do you guys give general instructions on like, okay, so for her, for example, you mentioned that it was she had military background, right? So it was, some of those sessions like, hey, we want you to walk from this way to this way in a military, I don't know, approach or whatever, march, if you will, or holding the guns, for example. What types of things do you guys kind of talk them through for each hero?
So we come in prepared with a list of what we want to get for. So like all of the locomotion stuff that you see, we have a list of what we need the actors to do or actor to do for those particular set of animations. And then we have all the abilities, and sometimes the abilities aren't like set in stone, so we'll have them do different variations on
Okay.
it. So, and that's probably the fun stuff. But we'll have them run back and forth across the stage a few times or whatever to kind of get the run that we want, right? We'll have them idle in place in the idle pose that we've made for the character. Yeah, and then we take all that data back and start working with it and parsing it and finding the takes we want. Not unlike like video editing, where
Right.
we're finding takes from good shoots, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the implementation at that point is like you guys have all of these like motion captured animations, then you're just kind of like connecting it to the character, like hooking it up to the certain ability, like, oh, she's pulls out her gun, like this is how it's going to look, and then
Right.
maybe at this cadence, based on like you kind of said you like slowing down and speeding things up, like based
Yeah.
on certain abilities.
Yeah, if we had the motion capture a video that I was going to show, there's one great example was her ultimate. The actress just kind of went through the action fairly slow. And so then we take that and we just speed it up and give it that impact of like really coming out fast.
Right.
And timing it just right, setting the timing correctly so that it's responsive in the game too. You're not waiting forever for her to fire the gun, basically.
Right. So it
Yeah.
makes it feel more like it's actually the normal cadence of something that would happen if you were playing this hero. Right, that's cool.
We try not to go too far either. We
Right.
wanna sort of like maintain the realism. as
find the
well.
happy medium of like I
Exactly.
actually feel like this is happening and feel
Yeah.
that heroic fantasy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, the ultimate is a good example of a hurdle, I guess, for effects, because it needs to look and feel like a single pistol shot,
Right.
which means it can't look like a bazooka or something like that. It can't look like anything that needs to be an AOE. So I knew right from the beginning that was going to be heavily dependent on him making a really cool animation.
Looks like we have that.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh,
we
there
do
we go.
have it. Yeah. So there's this is right out of this is the raw data that we're capturing for her. And what's kind of cool is you can see the actress, outside, moving in and out of the takes.
Oh yeah, I can
And
see.
it's
like,
kind of
the
neat to
slower
see
motion,
a real person there. Yeah, that's her alt right there. You can see how slow it's happening, but it's giving us all the kinematics that we need to work with.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and she'll do. We'll have her do different variations. Like, we'll have her do a smaller version of the action, and we'll say, okay, we'll make it really big and exaggerate it, and see how that looks. And so we'll experiment a bit with what might look best.
Like how does this look if you were doing it in this
Right.
situation versus this situation?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, and it looks like that's like a running animation.
that was a running. That's her.
Oh,
That's the
that's
seismic.
seismic, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see her do it like a few times.
Yeah.
And she's doing it really big there, so that's probably the one we took.
So that's interesting then. So that means that you guys kind of already had the envision in mind for maybe out of one of those brainstorm meetings for how it was going to actually happen in game, and then you just say, you're coaching these like the mocap actors to like slam the ground with their hand and pretend as if they're doing this thing. You kind of give them that like instruction though, like this
Yeah.
is what you're doing in game.
Yeah, here's the context. Yeah,
Oh,
you're
perfect.
about
That's
to create an earthquake for people. So
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, this is a good example of the runs that we capture. They just run basically across the stage, and we try to get them at a certain pace. That day we were doing slopes, so she's actually up on
Oh, that's cool.
a platform that's leaned.
Yeah,
so-
that's cool.
Yeah, so you can
Awesome.
see that's sort of the raw stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Mind
is,
blown.
Yeah, being able to see this stuff I think is really cool because that's. I mean, when I got here, like that was one of the things I remember hearing about was like the mocap studio, but I never really got to hear more in depth about it. So seeing like how in depth it is used in the process, like having that specific like military female doing these actions slow, so you can kind of take it apart and tailor it to really fit the hero. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, guys. It was
Yeah,
awesome to
it
talk
was
through this
awesome.
stuff. Nick, Scott, appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Well,
And
great job.
yeah,
Thanks
was
for having
awesome.
us.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I can't wait for folks to play it. Belica.
That's gonna be so good.
Oh, it's gonna be good. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, sure.
You're welcome.
So we are going to do our normal. We're going to let Scott and Nick head out, and then we're going to answer a few questions from
Yep.
stream. We've also had Chris, who was dropping some skin codes
Nice.
and boosts in the stream. But we're going to answer a few questions from chat and close out the stream. Off with chat? No, I don't. We'll just have to do it live from chat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you
Let
can
me
just
just
go
pull up
over
chat
that.
here.
To chat. Hopefully you guys are really excited about Belica. We are very excited for her as well. So a couple things. I saw some folks asking about the Twitch bot. I don't know if we got it up and working. We had an issue with the Twitch bot where it was actually broken this past week. So no codes were dropped, unfortunately. But we have been giving out skin codes for Richter, Kalari, and we've been giving out 10-day XP and rep boosts for folks that have been in the chat. So we're going to answer a couple questions before we head out. We do not have a stream scheduled for community folks or community team here after the stream, unfortunately. We're still working on that room for our dev stream. But once it's finished, I think
ready,
people
raring
will
to
be
go.
enjoying
It's
that.
gonna be
So
exciting.
can you buy Scorch to guard his house? That is from Pelly 1776.
Can you what?
He wants to buy Scorch.
Oh, he wants to buy Scorch.
He wants to buy Scorch to guard his house.
Just Scorch.
Just Scorch.
I think it's a package deal, man. I don't
I
know
think
if you can just get Scorch.
I think you
That's
always have Iggy with
Iggy
Scorch.
would probably fight you on that most likely.
Yes. Let's see if we have anything else in there. How about a portrait and draft phase to show the different founders packs? That's a cool idea, Dr. Jinsek. One of the things that we've been talking about in terms of draft, just thinking about some feedback that we've gotten is left and right lane.
Yes.
So we've seen some community folks ask to have that be red and blue. So that's something we are considering trying to implement, or at least we've started a discussion around that to signify, okay, I now know that I choose red lane, so I'm going to be in red lane, or I choose blue lane, so I'm going to be in blue lane. So that's something that we're definitely thinking about. How soon until we get the Murdoch skin that was shown so long ago, Wild Wild? I don't know if that's actually called Wild Wild West Murdoch. Maybe did we call it that?
No.
No,
I
don't think so.
I don't think so.
The guy's just saying that. I don't think that has a date. I think as the team is working on it and gets finished with it,
We can have a tentative
we'll have
timeline
it.
if you want to check out that Skins blog. I think it's like Epic Block. We have a Skins blog we released, and it kind of like painted a somewhat of a timeline. But
it's coming. I know we're working on it, making progress. What was the new epic rare in the first slot with energy damage?
I think he's talking about the B-roll itself.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Any news on the increase of the MMR cap?
No news yet. We actually have a meeting about that today. So, we're having discussions about things like that, but nothing concrete that we could share right now. So as of right now, it's still the same. Hashtag codes does not work in chat. There's no version of hashtags, anything that works in chat that's going to make bots or anything appear.
We got a question. I had passed by quickly, but it was like, do you have any other lore other than what was shown in the video to drop on the?
No, I give it. There's more
fair.
lore.
Right.
There's more lore.
They just want the lore, Kale.
In
they
the
know
video
they know you're the
people
lore guy. They're trying to get the lore from you.
Don't realize.
Any an update for recommended drivers coming out anytime soon? I would watch the release notes for that. Generally, we have the recommended drivers at the bottom if they update at all, and if there's any differences. So I would watch those. Those will definitely be your best bet. Will we be getting anything in addition to the Belica patch tomorrow? We'll also be having the emotes.
Emotes.
We watched at the beginning. If you haven't caught that video, that is
5 new emotes.
Yeah, that is on our YouTube, youtube.com/Paragon,
Yep.
as well as in the release notes. So you can go check that out. It should be on our Facebook as well, or on our social. So I would definitely check that out. It's a really cool video.
Fatal, I think his name was Fatality, asked, will heroes always be free? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
free.
Heroes free. All heroes free in Paragon.
Hero free. All hero free. There we go.
Is Belica coming with an additional skin? Yes. What is the name of that skin?
Polar Strike.
Is that the name of it? Polar Strike?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wrote.
It's like a
Polar Strike.
white fatigue.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have that's also in the nose as well. I saw.
It is
again.
in the
It looks
notes.
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful skin. I'm a big fan of snow, so that was. I can be a fan of snow. That's a normal thing.
Okay.
Question: why is she energy damage? If in the early part of the stream we really talk about design and Billy, the hero designer, kind of talked about their idea coming in, that they had a pretty solid idea that they wanted like this kind of mage role that that she's kind of fitting into, where she has some aspects of control, some aspects of burst, but also like can be played in a multitude of roles. Like Skylar even spoke about how he likes different team comps.
Yep.
You know, certain pick comps like Wombo, like combo, like the diversity of that. I think they found that in the like root design when they were like, we want her to be this way. It's just how can we accomplish that, and
Right.
then it's the steps to get there.
Is there a way to do character emotes
On PS4, I think.
on
was the
PS4?
question.
It's so we made a change. If you did not notice in the patch notes. So for those of you that have level 8 or higher on your heroes, I guess that will change now with now that we're selling emotes. But basically, you can activate taunts in your team comms. So if you're on PS4, you press L1 and then go through what I can't remember the exact options. Or is it R1? L1 and then R1. Yeah, L1 then R1 on your team comms, and then you will be able to use your taunts. We made that change for a number of reasons, but that is now where you can find your emotes or taunts. Will you guys suggest character contests? That's something that we've talked about, King Rome. It is not something that we have a definitive answer for yet, but something we've discussed. Her personal life is a hot mess. I believe that is exactly what is in the lore. Someone asked, is she single?
Is she okay? That's
Is
all right.
Lieutenant Belica single?
Oh, okay. I thought you were reading that in the chat. Her personal life is a hot mess. I'm like, I'm glad you took that away from the live stream. Like that, if that's one.
No,
thing,
that is exactly what is in the lore. They'll find that tomorrow.
perfect.
There are lore snippets that are going to be releasing tomorrow. And Misty is posting the release notes
So
link.
you guys want to check that out?
How is the card crafting system coming along? We'll end on that question. It is moving along.
It's coming along.
We are actually running through several different UX tests internally right now. So that's basically usability, seeing where people are having issues with it. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we're working on. We're iterating on it, and we're testing some things right now. But making progress for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, is making sure we like look into like how might somebody interact with this or something else. So I'm glad we're working through those.
One thing I want to end on before we sign off. Again, I will not be here for the next hero stream. It's this man, Mooney.
Hello, it's me and you.
But for Belica, if you have highlights, we're actually changing around our highlights videos that we do. So normally, and again, if you guys are been around for a while, you know the process. We do our announce stream the week before. We do an overview video the day that the hero releases, and then we do a highlight stream 2 days after she releases. Now we're not actually going to do a highlight stream. What we're going to do instead is we're going to highlight the community's Belica highlights. So if you are tearing it up, if you're dominating with Lieutenant Belica when she drops Tuesday, please submit your clips, videos, however you want to submit them to community@paragon.com. You can tweet us. You can send me or Mooney your YouTube links that you have.
Show me your sick plays.
Show me your sick
It's
Belica
basically
plays.
Yeah, it's basically what I'm asking for.
And we will be highlighting those on Thursday. And so I wanted to make that call out today while we were live on stream. So show us, show us your pentakill Belica. Who said that? Azrael. Yes, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, let's see it.
So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this stream, learned a lot of stuff.
Yep.
We actually had this is the
the
first
mocap,
stream we
yeah,
talked
the
about
mocap
mocap.
stuff. That was
I feel like we need to do a community video, just like showing
just
the
like on
mocap.
mocap.
studio.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, the whole that we got a military, like female to do like the stuff for that.
That's crazy.
Crazy to me.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
We came in surprised. Hopefully you guys were surprised, but Mooney, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks everybody.
We'll
You
see
guys
you
are all
guys
part of
next
the
time.
family. We will see you guys next time, and have fun on Agora.